What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here. With me is Nick Tasso, breaking down our top stacking options for today's slate. A big 14 gamer, a good slate here. I mean, we rattled off a pretty good amount of pitching names on the pitching pod, but there's definitely some spots that I do like stacking.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we got one that's kind of the same, but then we kind of differ. And it's kind of a mixed slate where you have a decent amount of starters all throughout, but I still think there are some viable options for stacking.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the Cubs here first. Take on Homer Bailey. This is probably a real obvious one. I mean, Homer Bailey, at home this year, he's been awful. 6, 8, 2, and 10 earned runs over his 4 home starts. He had one of the weirdest starts against Chicago last time out. I mean, he struck out 10, but he allowed, I think, 12 base runners and gave up 6 earned runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Homer Bailey is not good over his past 7 starts. He's given up 36 runs, which equates to an 8.5 ERA, which is just kind of crazy. And we've seen these two teams go back and forth, just scoring a bunch of runs against each other last week. So I definitely think Homer Bailey could definitely find his way into a bullpen early night, which could really screw him over. So Cubs are the way to go for my money.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And you're also taking a look at Cleveland. And this is funny because Fister threw how many shutout innings against Cleveland last time out?
7 or 8, but that's kind of why I like the Indians. Fister obviously isn't good. He did, like you said, he did have that good start a couple games ago against them, and then it was funny when Sale got hit hard by them, but that's besides the point. But yeah, Fister really, he isn't good anymore, and he's lost a lot of his stuff on his fastball and so forth. So I think second time around, they're going to be able to hit him a little bit better. We saw that with the White Sox. They did that. They saw Fister once and kind of got shut down, and then the next time they came back and were swinging pretty good against him. So I think this kind of happens with the Indians again. Plus, they've added Jay Bruce since then. So, I mean, Jay Bruce really hasn't been that good since the trade, and it's been pretty short time. So that's kind of understandable. But regardless, it just adds another weapon to the Indians' repertoire.
Yeah, I like the Indians here. I definitely don't mind going back to the well. And I kind of feel, there's a lot of high totals tonight. I didn't want to rattle off a lot of the popular names. I think, Chicago's there, Cleveland's there, Baltimore's going to be a popular stack. And I think the Atlanta-Seattle game is going to be popular. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think Cleveland's in play for me. Their prices are actually not too bad. Guys like Kipnis and Lindor and Ramirez are all under 5K. And like we said, there's plenty of reason to fit in some of these big offenses with some of the pitching that's on the slate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this slate really adds a lot. Sometimes we don't have too many options, but this is one where you can really change around your roster and really get what you want in there and have tons of multiple different ones.
Yeah. My second one here, I like Arizona. And usually I don't reference them outside of either Coors or Chase Field all that often, but this is a spot. Steven Matz, he was scratched, so now it's Tommy Milone. Tommy Malone's been in the bullpen for most of this year. He's been a below-average starter for his career anyway. 448 WOBA to righties this year. Obviously, Goldschmidt, Martinez, Pollock are all the standout righties. They're probably going to throw a couple more platoon bats in like Drury or Adam Rosales. So, obviously Citi Field's not a great ballpark, but this is a spot where I really like, and I think they might go a little bit overlooked in terms of a stack, and people might just go the one-off route. And it looks like wind's blowing out there, and it actually looks pretty warm. So Citi Field might play a little bit smaller than usual.
Yeah, personally, I wanted to put Arizona as one of my top 3, but I wanted to be a little different than you. Sometimes it always doesn't happen, but today I wanted to be. So that's why I didn't have them in there, but they really are in a good matchup against Tommy Milone. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but even guys like Jake Lamb is still in play because Tommy Milone, like you said, has been out of the bullpen for most of the year. He could probably still be stretched out a little bit, but I think he might not last too long if these hitters kind of do some damage against him.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a good point there. We get the bullpen arms early. That just puts guys like David Peralta and Jake Lamb back in play.
Absolutely. And I think Jake Lamb, because it's lefty-lefty, will go under own because he's phenomenal against righties, but isn't too good against lefties.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You look at the Dodgers, and I'm curious about this one, so you're going to have to sell me a little bit here.
Oh, yeah, it's just Jameson Taillon. He's allowing a 370 WOBA to lefties, and that's kind of pretty much what I'm looking at. They have been middle of the road this month with just batting overall. They haven't been great, but they always have a lot of potential there, and they can always kind of bust out. I mean, guys like Bellinger and Seager, they're really great bats. And you also look at a few righties in there. Chris Taylor and Justin Turner can also do some damage against Talion as well. Plus, Talion surprisingly hasn't been that good in that ballpark this year.
Yeah, looking at this one, Talion's a guy. He had a couple of blowups. I mean, a few starts ago, I think he gave up like 17 earned runs over 2 starts, and that was on the road against San Francisco and then Cincinnati. Obviously he's been okay since, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I think Bellinger's due back in the lineup, and then adding Curtis Granderson, that's another lefty. Anytime you get pitchers that do struggle against lefties, the Dodgers are always kind of that perfect stack, and they're a team that I think is going to fly under the radar a little bit because Baltimore, because Cleveland, because Chicago. I think those teams will kind of cover up the Dodgers in that ballpark.
Yeah, I think they're going to be under-owned, which also benefits rostering them. They're not terribly priced. I mean, they're the Dodgers, so they're going to be kind of sometimes overpriced just because they're typically in good spots. Can I make a quick comment real quickly?
Yeah.
You kind of waste a lot of time with asking quickly. But anyways, so I was watching the Nesson telecast the other day, and they were talking about Granderson just being traded, and he had a home run, I guess, off of Verlander. And that was their one highlight, yet the Tigers had like 6 or 7 runs, and the Dodgers had 1. So that's all.
I don't miss Nesson at all.
And then they just, I don't know. They're just awful because then they don't even have commercials. They just have like in the diamond still, and it's just weird.
I just can't stand Jerry Remy.
Ooh, come on, dude. The guy's got cancer, and he's going back for chemo again. That's so sad.
Nothing aside, I can't listen to that guy.
No, I know. I literally don't really watch too much of the telecast. If I do, I put music on or something. It's not really exciting anymore.
That's bad. Third stack for me, I like St. Louis, and this is a team that 5-run total. I kind of expect them to go under the radar too. Clayton Richard, he obviously coming off a really strong start, complete game. That was in Petco. When he's on the road, he allows a 3.95 WOBA to righties. He's allowed 10 home runs. In the second half, he's got an ERA over 5. And I look at some of these righty bats. I mean, Tommy Pham, 293 ISO. Jed Jerko, 233 ISO. Yadier Molina, 277 ISO. Dexter Fowler's been a little bit quiet against lefties, but he's been banged up for a lot this year. But Fowler's always been a guy I do like targeting more against lefties than righties. So I think those are 4. I think that's a good 4-man stack. Obviously, it's a pretty pedestrian ballpark, but I think at their prices, they're probably going to go a little bit overlooked because nobody really likes stacking the Cardinals. But I think if you're making multiple lineups, to kind of consider them.
Yeah, I'm not super thrilled with the Cardinals, but at the end of the day, it's still Clayton Richard, and I don't even know what happened last start, but it is what it is, and I'm just going to let it be. He probably is going to bounce back here and have an awful start like he usually does. So I kind of agree with you. Throw those guys in there for the Cardinals, and you can kind of be happy. My little concern is that I think a lot of people are also going to stack against them, so it's kind of the same thing with our Lance Lynn prediction. But we'll just see how it happens and just kind of go from there.